Mr. Kin-yuen, Mr. Deputy, we are discussing the electoral legislation miscellaneous amendments bills 2015. Is really disappointing because these amendments are just technical amendments, minor amendments. They are far away from the cancellation of functional constituencies and real universal suffrage under the 831 decision of the NPCSC. There will never be a real, genuine universal suffrage. The SARG should show its sincerity in responding to people's aspirations for democracy. On the basis of the electoral basis of the functional constituencies, the administration should try to extend its representation and expand its democratic content. Say, for example, the egg and fish, the insurance, the industrial and commercial sector, the business sector, they should widen the electoral base by turning corporate votes into individual votes or corporate votes into directors' votes. The administration has done nothing about it. All the amendments are just technical and minor. Why is this so? This is really disappointing, and the administration should be condemned. Many have spoken that there is a lot of confusion in the functional constituencies. It's really disappointing. The functional constituencies should be scrapped anyways. If they insist on functional constituencies, they try to make it more honorable. Yet, they have not done so. This is utterly disappointing. Among the functional constituencies, some referred to transposing the content of one functional constituency to another. We have a registration system in the educational functional constituency, and therefore this kind of activity is not very rampant. As early as 2011, on the 2nd of July, the PTU, Professional Teachers Union, called a press conference and pointed out that some of the members teaching in self-financing institutions in particular were not able to successfully register as the higher education subgroup for the election of CE. Now, those teaching in high institutions such as the Community College of the City U and also Poly U, their students in the past were registered in their capacity as the teaching staff of the Poly U and City U. But in 2011, the Electoral Office said that they didn't comply with the electoral qualifications because the institutions did not include them in the teaching staff list. And the Electoral Office is the view that they didn't belong to the university proper, and about 400 of them were affected, and they were deprived of the voting rights. Another group is those self-financing high institutions such as the Caritas, the Yu-Chong Community College, and also another technical institution. They were not listed. They are not listed in the legislation. Even if they organize accredited higher education courses, their teachers are not included in the election committee subgroup. About 700 to 900 teaching staff should be a subgroup of the education election committee, and also electors of the educational functional constituency, but they are deprived of their rights. We've raised this with the administration and also at the education panel, and the administration faced up to that. In 2015, in the Electoral legislation miscellaneous amendments bill 2015, a clearer definition has been given. This is a good progress and has addressed the confusion I referred to. As for the status of the institutions, they have been changed, but there are still some outstanding problems. In the law, there is a very confusing provision. Full-time academic staff engaged in teaching or research and administrative staff of equivalent rank in the institutions. The meaning of the wording is unclear. We have received from time to time members who teach the complaints from members who teach in different higher education institutions. Different institutions have different understanding. As for some institutions, full-time academic staff engage in teaching or research and administrative staff of equivalent. They include instructors, but some do not include instructors. And in some institutions, even lecturers are not included. Now, in some institutions, the basic rank is associate professor, assistant professor, professor, and lecturers are not included. As a result, it is unfair. The electoral rights is among the teaching staff of the higher education institutions not fair. Now, at the Bills Committee meeting, I raised the issue. My request was very humble. We just asked the same standard to be applied to all higher education institutions, and they should comply with the description of the bill. We ask whether information can be provided. A full list of the ranks and grades of the higher institutions, and then we can compare the ranks and grades of different institutions, see if the staff members are treated fairly. Now, who will be given the right to vote? It depends on the interpretation of the higher education institution. Institution A provides a staff list, and then Institution B provides another staff list. Their yardsticks may be entirely different. We give the authority to the institutions to determine who has the right to vote. We have to be careful whether the interpretation is correct and whether the interpretation is uniform. It's a pity that after many times I have requested, the reply by the administration is disappointing. They say that it's not appropriate for them or convenient for them to do so. The information provided by the institutions are just for voters' registration and cannot be used for other purposes. But we are very clear about two types of information. The first type of information is about privacy, and that is information that is required by the law, and we are not asking for that. We just asked for a list of ranks and grades, and that's it. I think they've confused the issue in order to dodge the question. We want to improve this, but why? They don't do it. They do not provide information, and therefore the staff members are unfairly treated. There is no alternative. Why don't they do it? The administration also said that an appeal could be made by any staff member who were aggrieved. Who was aggrieved? Well, if the law is there just to wait for the appeal, then this piece of law is really nonsense. Now, you need to deal with the mistakes. You need to deal with the loopholes. And if there is still somebody who is aggrieved, then you should allow people to make an appeal. But you shouldn't just allow the loopholes there where you can drive the carriage through, and then you just wait for people to appeal. The administration is duty-bound to set up a set of standards that is uniform across the higher education institutions, so that full-time academic staff engaged in teaching and research will be given the right to vote. This is a technical amendment. After all, the most important of all is that the Legislative Council election should move forward towards more democracy. And we look forward in the very near future that will be the beginning on the discussion of abolishing the functional constituency so that this council can move towards the real universal suffrage.